If you had any hope for the upcoming The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender movie, I'm here to completely dash it, as the casting director admitted that casting decisions for this film were made due to woke ideology and DEI policies. And when you are making woke casting decisions, wokeness is going to be all in the story. Roll this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. And Jenny Jue, I'm not sure how to say her name. She is the casting director for Paramount's upcoming animated film, The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, and she admitted she cast the film due to woke ideology and DEI policies. She did an Ask Me Anything over on the movies subreddit on Reddit, and she was asked this: is there any reason why you guys decided not to bring the original cast back for the ultimate nostalgia trip? The characters' voices are just so iconic and distinct. I find it hard to really accept anyone else in their roles. And this is how she answered. He asked another question if she could provide any more information about the film as well, and then shared how excited he was, etc. But this is what she answered. I told Mike and Brian that I understood how important it was to get this right for them and for the fans, because I'm a fan too. Also, my favorite IP. That's a lie. she doesn't care about getting it right, because we're going to find out how she doesn't care about getting it right. Because she says it in the next sentence, right? Since the original show was released, there's been more emphasis in voiceovers to match actors' ethnic, racial background to the characters they're portraying. So she doesn't care about getting it right. She cares about woke ideology. She cares about identity politics. She cares about the DEI agenda. That is what she cares about. You can't make this stuff up. They'll tell you. They literally say, oh, I understand how important it is to get this right for them and for the fans, because I'm a fan too. Also my favorite IP. And then literally in the next sentence says, but you know what? I really don't care about any of that stuff, because we're here to push the DEI agenda. She goes on and says, Avatar is a fictional world, but there are cultural influences for each nation kingdom, and we wanted to explore the talent from those groups. Okay. So they don't actually care about providing the best product, right? They don't care about getting the best person for the job. And there is a clear distinction between animation and live action. When you're doing live action, the character has to look like like they're depicted. You can't be race swapping. Like, so when you're race swapping Papa Asedu to play Severus Snape, that is not proper casting. That's not good casting, because he doesn't look like the character. It ruins suspension of disbelief. With animation, you still obviously have the character design. You're not actually changing the character design, and you should get the best person to play that role, regardless of their ethnic or racial background, etc. And this is discrimination too, right? And I hope this is an admission. She posted this 2 days ago. This is an admission here of clearly discriminating against people. And I hope the federal government decides to investigate what's going on with Paramount. We already know that they've opened up investigations into NBC, Universal, and the Walt Disney Company. Love to see them go after Paramount as well, because clearly Paramount is just ignoring the law. And she goes on and says, I can't say much more about the film, except that I'm really proud of this cast, and I hope the other fans keep an open mind to this new iteration of our beloved characters. So this is not at all surprising, right? Been covering this for a number of years now. Probably the biggest person to kind of note that they were using casting to push political agendas was Sophie Holland. She is a major big-time casting director, does a ton of work over at Netflix, does the casting for Wednesday, The Witcher, Shadow and Bone, and she also has done work over at Prime Video, The Peripheral. I'm not sure exactly what she's been doing since then. Haven't really been keeping tabs on her, but she's probably working on other Netflix and Prime Video shows, Amazon MGM Studios shows. And she did this interview as part of Janelle Riley's Acting Up newsletter, and it was subsequently published by Variety. And she says this as on how she literally uses her job to push political change, push her woke ideology. And she says, you can affect change in whatever tiny way, because you are in people's homes and they're watching this world. And that sort of solidified when I had a child. She's 5 now. And I thought how hard it is to be a girl. I remember thinking I have to help her because she's going to come under attack just like I did, just because she's a girl. Maybe she'll be lucky and get to 9 before somebody calls her a B. And it made me so sad that she was going to experience that, and I couldn't protect her from that. But what I could do is change the way people see women through casting. I can make them powerful and empowering, and then the floodgates will open to them. So she's literally admitting here that she's trying to change the way that people think through her job as a casting director. And that's exactly what these people have been doing. And a number of people will be out there, it doesn't really matter. The background characters don't really matter. None of this stuff really matters. It's just so insignificant. Why are you so upset about it? Well, because these people are telling you what they're doing. They tell you what they are doing. They tell you that they have insidious motivations. They tell you that they are doing this to warp your mind. So me calling it out and using what they're saying, it shouldn't be a problem because they're the ones telling you that's what they're doing. So anyone trying to push back on you or trying to shame you for calling this stuff out, I question their motivations. Why are you doing that? It's likely because you don't want the truth to get out. That's what I think. I think obviously there might be some people who are completely ignorant of this stuff, but I find that really hard to believe if you've been in this space for any significant period of time. And if you've even been around paying attention to what's happening in the world for the last half decade, at least. Nevertheless, Holland goes on and says, I do apply this theory to everything, and it makes me push boundaries a little harder because I think representation is important, not just for women, but all minority groups. So there you go. It's not just her pushing this because she has some feminist ideology. It is clearly DEI as well. She says, people have different physical abilities, and I think it's important they're seen in strong and fierce roles. Realizing this was a real moment of falling in love with my craft in a way that feels very specific to me. So it's all she's clearly hinting at the gender ideology stuff, right? Because she's talking about feminism here and how she wants to change how women are perceived and wants to talk about their different physical abilities, yada, yada, yada. And that's at the heart of feminism, that women are equal in every way to men. And that's just simply not true. We are clearly made differently. Men are different from women. And they're trying to convince people that's not the case. And then it obviously bleeds into the whole gender ideology stuff where they think that you can just transition between the two because there's no difference. Which is not true at all. And it's causing significant amounts of damage to people because they're buying into this stuff and they're doing significant harm to them. And people are obviously also taking advantage of them too for their own financial gain, has been well documented by the people like Matt Walsh, where he's exposed a lot of the hospitals here where I am in North Carolina, profiting off of doing a lot of these sick surgeries, especially on children. She then explained how she did this with the casting of Yennefer in the Witcher series. She says, I am always the first to champion diversity in all its glory. There you go. She's literally, I am the first to champion diversity in all its glory. One that springs to mind was the character of Yennefer on The Witcher. Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich is the showrunner, and we work so well together, and she's so open to conversations. In the book, she's described as the most beautiful woman in the world. This was a few years ago, and I'd like to think things have changed, but when you think about people's unconscious bias, especially in the fantasy world, it felt like these worlds were predominantly white. It's because that's how the authors described them, and that's who wrote them. You could have done a different show. You could have done a show in Wakanda or some other fictional world, but you chose to change this for The Witcher, right? You chose to change it for these shows that where they are described as white. And she goes on and says, and I remember saying, I feel like we need to challenge what people think of as the standard of beauty, and having a woman of color in this role does incredibly powerful things to the people watching. So she's clearly admitting what she's doing here. I think it's absolutely absurd, this justification. I mean, Halle Berry as Jinx is a beautiful woman, right? She's black. So there's plenty of black women that are extraordinarily beautiful and gorgeous. And this idea that this unconscious bias is that it's only white people is ridiculous. And I think she's just kind of telling on herself, honestly. So, but she's admitting that was what she did, and that's why she did this stuff to begin with. And it's all based on her ideology, feminism, DEI, representation ideology, whatever you want to call it, critical race theory. They're all connected. They're all part of the same thing that we call wokeness. And she clearly admits that she was doing this, and this is the same thing that's going on here from Jenny Jue. Don't know how to say her name, and she's saying that this is all infected in this Avatar movie. The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. And I do have some information here on the film. It was obviously announced back in June 2022. It is the first of supposed to be 3 films, with the first one being directed by Lauren Montgomery, and the original Avatar co-creators Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing those correctly, are also attached and producing the film. We had this guy, Ramsey Naito. He's like the president of Paramount and Nickelodeon Animation. He said at the time, as original creators, Mike and Brian expand the Avatar universe with us. We're keeping it all in the family with Lauren, bringing the same kind of expert, beautiful work she did on the original series to her new directing duties on the forthcoming theatrical. Actress Janet Varney, who plays Korra or voiced Korra in The Legend of Korra sequel, revealed that the film would focus on Aang and his friends as adults. She actually said it would just be about Aang. We find out later that it was adults during a Paramount presentation over at CinemaCon in 2023, and that they would be 20s and early 30s for the film. And they have also announced that the cast includes Eric Nam, I'm not sure how to say his name, as Aang, Jessica Matten as Katara, Dante Bosco as Zuko. He's the actually only person who's reprising his role from the original show. Roman Zaragoza as Sokka, and Diane, I'm not sure how to say her name, Quan as Toph Beifong. And as in the original show, you had Zach Tyler Eisen, played Aang, Mae Whitman was Katara, Jack DeSena was Sokka, and Michael Jill Murphy was Toph. And again, Dante Bosco was Zuko, and he's the only person that we know of that is reprising his role as of this point. I'm sure that they'll probably cast these people as like cameos or something in other side roles. I would expect they would do something like that. I feel like that's the decent thing to do, even as just Easter eggs. The minimum decent thing that they should do as Easter eggs. But clearly they didn't like them because of their skin color and their race. And they discriminated against them, and they've admitted that. And I think there's probably a legal suit here to be filed against Paramount, because this is clear admission that they were indeed discriminating against people. And it's illegal. It's illegal. It's enough of this stuff. And hopefully the Trump administration goes after this stuff, and we see people actually stand up and start fighting back against this in the court of law, and they start winning, and we get our society back on the path to sanity, because this is how you have to defeat this stuff. You have to defeat this stuff. Me making a video here obviously raises awareness about it, lets people know that this stuff is happening that might not know it. But at the end of the day, it's going to take government intervention to really put a stop to this. And that's what it's going to take. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?